You have become the very same thing you sworn to destroy. For the last year, all Shakur Stevenson talked about is all of these fighters that are ducking him, bashing them, swearing up and down that he's gonna destroy them if they get in the ring with him. From the likes of Lomachenko, Kambosos, Frank Martin, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, William Zabata, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, and the list goes on and on and on. Well, ironically, last year, Shakur turned down his biggest payday for his biggest legacy day undisputed, what he calls his dream, against Devin Haney in order to fight Edwin De Los Santos, and we all saw how that turned out to be. Well, this year is getting worse for Shakur. Reports came out today that Shakur Stevenson has officially turned down the Muratalla fight after he agreed to fight Muratalla next on July 6th on social media when he was going back and forth with Robert Garcia. Well, apparently, Shakur was only doing that for clout because when he went to the Top Rank office, Shakur ended up rejecting the Muratalla fight in order to fight a fighter coming off a loss, according to Robert Garcia. Say it ain't so. A fan asked Shakur, man, you ain't do all that just to ghost Robert Garcia the moment Muratalla called you out, especially after you agreed to fight him. That's when Robert Garcia responded with, quote, got a word today that he made his choice of opponent yesterday, very underwhelmingly. Could have waited 2 more days and Raymond would have been ready, but we will look for it later. End of the quote. Now, Robert Garcia had more to say. As he revealed, Shakur is actually choosing to fight a fighter coming off a loss, shockingly. So instead of choosing to fight the best option on the table, Muratalla, Shakur is choosing to fight a complete nobody, a fight you only take if you are coming off back-to-back devastating losses. Rumors have it this fighter is Artem, a fighter Frank Martin already beat. So if that's the case, Shakur is really going backward, not forward. Here is exactly what Robert Garcia revealed. Check it out.
And Shakur, we've been asking him, Top Rank knows, we've been telling them this kid is ready for a world title fight, but I know it's not Top Rank. Obviously, the champions also have to choose who they're fighting, especially if it's just a voluntary title defense. Shakur is fighting
live in New Jersey.
We asked for it. We talked to Top Rank about it, but it looks like he chose to fight somebody else. Shakur is pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world too, and from what I understand, he's fighting a guy that lost his last fight.
Really?
So yeah. How can a pound for pound fighter choose to fight a guy that lost his last fight? If you're pound for pound, you got to fight the best.
Top guys, the killers.
Top guys, man. That's what you be fighting. That's what you should be fighting, man. Honestly, I don't see why they would even consider that fight with a guy that lost his last fight.
Unfortunate, man.
It's part of boxing, man.
It happens. Sometimes fighters, they get cold feet. They don't want to take the fights too.
If these reports are true, Shakur Stevenson has officially become the very same thing he sworn to destroy. Shakur sworn to destroy all of these ducks, then ironically, he turned out to be a duck himself. He ended up becoming a duck. Apparently, Shakur was an undercover duck this whole time, pretending that he wants all of the smoke. But like I always tell you guys, 3 things that could never be hidden are the sun, the moon, and the truth. They will always come out. The truth has came to light, and I would have had never thought in a million years that supposedly the boogeyman Shakur turned out to be a duck the moment the truth came out. You gotta call a spade a spade. I'm only saying that because Shakur called anyone that turned down a fight with him a duck. From Frank Martin, Lomachenko, Kambosos, Pitbull Cruz, William Zabata, even fighters that Shakur turned down a fight with, like Devin Haney, he still called Devin Haney a duck. And now the truth came out that Shakur himself is a duck. At least when Lomachenko turned down a Shakur fight, he ended up fighting Kambosos. At least when Frank Martin turned down the Shakur fight, he ended up fighting Gervonta, even a bigger fight. However, Shakur, on the other hand, he turned down a fight with the best available opponent on the table, Muratalla, in order to cherry pick a fighter supposedly coming off a loss? Listen, if Shakur turned down the Muratalla fight in order to fight a better opponent, perhaps let's say Lomachenko, a Gervonta, a Devin Haney, then of course nobody's going to say anything. But when you turn down a Muratalla fight, who's ranked number 2 under the WBC, in order to fight supposedly Artem, who's ranked number 8 under the WBC, that makes no sense at all, especially when he's coming off a loss. I mean, how did you jump down that low? Remember, according to Shakur's own logic, the reason why he fought Yoshino, he justified that because he said, I went down the ladder. I offered everyone under the WBC a fight. The number 1 guy, the number 2 guy, the number 3 guy, the number 4 guy, the number 5 guy. They all ended up turning down the fight. That's why I fought Yoshino, because he was ranked number 6 and he accepted the fight, unlike the fighters on the top 5. That's what Shakur Stevenson said. That was his logic to why he fought Yoshino. Well, this time around, why is Shakur going against his own logic here? Instead of going down the ladder under the WBC like he did before. If the number 1 guy, Zabeda, turned down the fight, then why not offer the number 2 guy the fight, Muratalla? Especially when Muratalla fights on Top Rank and they share the same promoter. To make matters worse, especially when Muratalla already called Shakur out and contacted Top Rank to make the fight weeks ago. However, he got ignored by Shakur. Shakur Stevenson pretended that he didn't even know Muratalla was calling him out. And he was one of the options Shakur had on the table to fight on July 6th. Instead, Shakur completely ignored Muratalla, skipped past number 2, all the way to number 8 to fight a fighter coming off a loss in order to have a showcase fight for the solo reason to look good. So he can say, oh, I'm back. No, that's not how it works. Shakur talking about I'm the best fighter in the world. Well, you got to show us that. You can't fight a tomato can and claim you're the best. You actually got to fight the best fighters. More specifically, fight the best fighters that are available for you to fight to prove that you are the best. Talk is cheap, and all Shakur is doing right now is talking. That's it, that's all. He's proven nothing. All he's proven right now is that he's a duck. He's joining the Duck Club along with Canelo Alvarez, so on and so forth. The same thing he's sworn to destroy, he done became. Listen, Shakur has been on Twitter tweeting since Twitter was Twitter, before it was X. And all of a sudden, the moment Robert Garcia let the world know that Muratalla has been trying to fight him for weeks, or I should say Muratalla has been trying to negotiate with Shakur to fight next for weeks, that's when Shakur decided to announce on X that he's going to take a break from X or Twitter. Like, wait a minute, this man haven't took a day off since X was Twitter. Now when Muratalla want to fight him and the world knows, now he want to get off X/Twitter. If it sounds like a duck, if it moves like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, then you best believe that's a duck. I hate to tell you I told you so, but I did tell you so. Even when Shakur agreed to fight Muratalla next, when Shakur and Robert Garcia were going back and forth, I obviously reported the news. I made a video on that, and some of you Shakur fans said I was being harsh on Shakur. Now, I know how psychology works, and I know the truth hurts. That's why they were saying that. Because when I reported the news, I'm going to leave a link for that video in the comment section below. I was able to read between the lines. Meanwhile, Shakur fans, they can't even read the lines. They're going to try to pretend they can't see or something, since their emotion blocks their vision from seeing the truth, from being able to see the truth, even if it's right in front of their face. When I report boxing news, I have no emotion. I only report with logic. I only report the truth. That's why I'm undefeated, because the truth is undefeated. None of you guys could ever point out anything I ever said you disagree with. You could never quote me. The reason behind that is because everything I say is supported with facts. Akhi is undefeated because the truth is undefeated. I'm only undefeated since I only speak the whole absolute truth, unedited, uncut, raw with it, no diddy. Nevertheless, while I was reporting the news, I was able to read between the lines. I saw the duck coming a mile away because I told you guys on that video, Robert Garcia told Shakur, "We not doing this for clout. We already contacted Top Rank weeks ago." Muratalla told Top Rank weeks ago, "I want Shakur next. I want to fight Shakur." And Shakur responded with, "Oh, I had no idea. I never heard a word." Like, wait a minute. As I'm reading that, all I could hear and see is cap. How does Shakur and Muratalla share the same promoter? Shakur has no option on the table but Muratalla. Nobody wants to fight Shakur but Muratalla. But you want to convince me that you had no idea Muratalla has been trying to negotiate with you for weeks? Make it make sense. Why will that be the case when Shakur and Muratalla fight on the same network and share the same promoter? On top of that, it ain't like Shakur have all of these options where he got lost in the sauce. Shakur doesn't have any option but Muratalla. So how is it possible you don't know about your only option that's on the table? That's a rhetorical question. Second of all, Shakur agreed to fight Muratalla next on July 6th. We have more than enough time. We have 5 months left. So I don't want to hear any pathetic excuse such as, "Oh, Shakur doesn't have enough time to negotiate with Muratalla since he fighting this Saturday night." First of all, he could have been negotiated regardless of Muratalla having a fight this Saturday night. That's why Robert Garcia, his manager, reached out to Top Rank weeks ago in order to negotiate the Shakur Stevenson fight on Muratalla's behalf. However, Shakur kept ignoring it, and later on he rejected it. Second of all, even after the Saturday night, Shakur still has time to negotiate to fight Muratalla next. We have 5 months left for Shakur Stevenson fight day. Therefore, that's more than enough time for Shakur to negotiate with Muratalla to fight on that date, July 6th. After all, we still in March and Robert Garcia probably hit up Top Rank and Shakur back in February. But back to the second point I was making. When Shakur and Robert Garcia agreed that they will make Shakur versus Muratalla come to fruition on July 6th, it was very telling how Shakur went from agreeing to fight Muratalla on Twitter, but instead of contacting Top Rank to see what's going on with Muratalla, since he claimed he didn't know. He didn't know Robert Garcia contacted Top Rank weeks ago in order to make the fight happen. Instead of doing that, instead of standing on business, Shakur went back on Twitter to call out Kid Austin, a fighter who had a bad cut his last fight, a fighter who's not ranked on the top 10 under the WBC, a fighter who Shakur said is not deserving to fight him because he's a prospect, so he should fight another prospect, Abdullah Mason, on his undercard. If he wins that fight, then Shakur said, "I'ma fight him." However, Shakur changed his tone. He changed his mind in order to deflect from the Muratalla fight, in order to switch attention and shift the attention from him agreeing to fight Muratalla to all of a sudden he started offering Kid Austin a fight. We all know what time it is. You can't fool nobody. Shakur tried to deflect there. He tried to deflect from the Muratalla fight and shift the attention from that fight to something else. And because that didn't work, since people on Twitter and X started going at Shakur for deflecting from the Muratalla fight after he gave Muratalla or Robert Garcia his word that he will fight Muratalla next, that's when Shakur announced to the world, "I'm the baddest fighter in the world, and guess what? I'm going to take some time off Twitter." Sound like some duck, duck, goose time, because a day later, Shakur chose to fight a fighter coming off a loss who's ranked number 8 instead of agreeing to fight Muratalla when he already gave Robert Garcia his word publicly that he will fight Muratalla next. Your word is your bond. If you're going to go back on that, then we can't trust you. We can't believe you. Instead of Shakur standing on business, standing on his word that he gave Robert Garcia that he will fight Muratalla next, he's standing on ducking. Last but not least, the way Shakur Stevenson is moving right now, just like his best friend, his homie, his A1, his day one, a person that is like a brother to him, Hitcherson said he didn't know who won the fight between Shakur and Edwin de los Santos. Well, I'm starting to believe Shakur didn't believe he won the fight either, or he doesn't know if he won the fight or not. Because the way he's moving right now, he's acting as if he's coming off a loss. For him to fight a fighter coming off a loss and ranked number 8, that's very telling. It tells me that Shakur doesn't have the confidence, that he feels that he's coming off a loss himself. Perhaps he needs more development. However, how are you going to say, I'm the best fighter in the world, and then duck Muratalla to fight a fighter coming off a loss, who's ranked way lower? I mean, since the Edwin de los Santos fight, Shakur has been acting really strange. He came out with like a million excuses after he said, I'm not going to make excuses. He said he broke his hand, he broke his shoulder, he was dehydrated, he didn't hydrate back up right. And I'm sitting here wondering, Shakur Stevenson next excuse probably going to be, oh, my back was broken. Like, what are you talking about? You didn't rehydrate back up. You said you can make the weight easy. Shakur said he can even make 130 pounds if he wants to. If that's the case, why will you be having rehydration problems? And when it came to the hand excuse, Shakur's own trainer Moses was telling Shakur during the fight, let the left hand go. Believe in yourself. Have confidence. Basically telling Shakur, I know you're worried this guy may clip you if you extend with a power hand. However, believe in yourself. Go to the body. Go to the head with it. Come on, man. Let the left hand go. If Shakur's left hand was injured, you think Moses was going to be telling him, let your left hand go? Of course not. This is why a couple days after Shakur fight, he challenged Devin Haney to spar him for $1 million. You think Shakur, if he was really injured with his left hand, he will be challenging Devin Haney to spar for $1 million on the table? Come on now. That's common sense. I guess Shakur forgot about his own excuse that he was finna use. Either way, if Shakur was really injured and he didn't rehydrate back up, why not give Edwin de los Santos a rematch instead of fighting a fighter coming off a loss, to prove what you could do to Edwin de los Santos if you are 100%? Why doesn't Shakur do that? The answer is obvious. Shakur will always perform the same way against Edwin de los Santos. He looked bad against Edwin and the fight looked 50-50 because Edwin is on the same level as Shakur. They both on the same level. That's why it's disappointing to see Shakur make all of these excuses to discredit Edwin de los Santos and uplift his own self for the bad performance he put on. And if he was really sincere about that, he would have given Edwin de los Santos a rematch. Or he will be fighting Raymond Muratalla right now. But the reason why he don't want to do that is because he want to have a showcase fight to look good. He knows if he fight Muratalla, he's not going to look good. He's either going to get exposed, look bad, or underperforms. The worst case scenario, he even may lose. That's why Shakur is ducking Muratalla, to fight a fighter coming off a loss, which is highly disappointing. You can't claim you're the best fighter in the world when you ducking Muratalla to fight a fighter coming off a loss. That's more like you the best duck in the world, not the best fighter in the world. With the facts being laid out, drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below. And to be continued on the next episode of Akhi TV. Peace out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Just spoke with Walling Moses, and I asked him about Shakur's left hand, if it was okay, and he says, yes, it's okay. I actually want him to throw it more, so the offense is coming.
Yeah,
we'll
but
see.
But the problem is, if he throws it, you're exposed. You know, if you miss, you get yourself out of position when you shoot the right cross or the left hand, the backhand. Because again, he doesn't feel safe throwing that backhand because it'll put him out there.
Stop going straight back, okay? All right, now start throwing some combinations and throw some of them straight left hands under and out, all right? Trust you gotta trust yourself a little bit more, all right?